Every morning is a new covenant between the soul and the infinite. As the dawn breaks, the unseen forces of supply stir, eager to rush into form at the command of the spoken word. The tongue is the rudder of destiny, and what is declared with conviction becomes the path upon which the feet must walk. The unseen becomes seen, the intangible made tangible. For words are living seeds charged with divine intelligence, ready to manifest after their own kind. The I am is the name of the God, self within. The eternal spark that governs circumstance, draws its own to itself, and calls forth substance from the invisible storehouse of plenty. To say, I am, with faith is to decree law. It is the alignment of the little self with the great self, so that every affirmation is a command to the universe. Each morning, when the mind is clear and the spirit receptive, the declaration of I am opens the gate to abundance, establishing wealth and prosperity as one's rightful inheritance. No soul was sent into this world to live in lack. Poverty is but a shadow born of fear, and fear is a false idol. The law of supply knows no restriction. It is ceaseless, boundless, eternal. To awaken each morning and affirm abundance is to remember that riches are already prepared, waiting to be claimed. The soul must speak with authority, for the subconscious hears and obeys, bringing forth into matter that which has been decreed in spirit. When one says, I am wealth, the infinite substance responds, quickening opportunities, drawing favorable conditions, aligning people, and arranging events. Nothing is withheld, for the universe is impartial and exact. The word spoken with conviction is the word made flesh. Therefore, to rise each morning and affirm prosperity is to sow seeds in the fertile soil of the day, ensuring a harvest of increase, harmony, and joy. The power of these affirmations lies not in idle repetition, but in the living belief that the word has already gone forth and will not return void. To say I am abundance is to embody it now, not tomorrow, not someday, but in this very breath. The spirit of plenty surrounds every soul, waiting for recognition. What is recognized grows, what is denied diminishes. Thus, to affirm wealth is to give it life in the present moment. The law works through faith, and faith is substance unseen yet already secure. As one awakens with the morning sun and declares truth, the invisible streams of prosperity flow into visible channels. Every affirmation is a brushstroke painting the canvas of the day with beauty, freedom, and overflowing supply. The spoken word is law and shapes destiny. From the beginning of creation it has been so. For the universe itself was called forth by the utterance of the divine. Let there be light. And light appeared. The power of the word is not confined to the infinite alone, for man, made in the image and likeness of that same creative principle, holds within his own tongue the key to form his world. Words are not idle sounds passing through the air, they are charged with force, vibrating with energy, clothed in life. Every word spoken with intention is a seed cast into the fertile soil of the unseen, destined to bear fruit after its kind. The law is exact and impartial. It returns to the speaker what has been sown, for words are carriers of belief. They shape thought, and thought is the mold into which life flows. When words of lack are spoken, lack manifests. When words of fear are uttered, fear finds a form. Yet when words of power, faith, and abundance are declared, the path clears and opportunities spring forth. Destiny is not a blind accident, nor is it an unknown fate carved by unseen hands. It is the sum of words spoken consistently. For the subconscious is obedient, and the outer world mirrors what has been decreed. Each declaration sets a vibration in motion, and that vibration attracts its likeness. To say, I never prosper, is to place a chain around one's supply, binding abundance with cords of doubt. To say, I am prospered, is to open the floodgates, calling forth riches from unexpected avenues. The spoken word becomes law because it is aligned with belief, and belief creates the mold through which spirit expresses. Therefore, it is not enough to wish in silence, the word must be uttered, for sound holds power beyond thought alone. The vibration of the voice carries the decree outward, stamping it upon the ethers, compelling manifestation. Destiny is not determined by circumstances, but by the continual proclamation of the soul. Those who say they are unlucky, poor, or cursed simply affirm it into their lives, weaving with their own tongue the very fabric of misfortune. Those who declare favor, wealth, and health align with a different current, attracting all that corresponds to their words. The law does not question, does not argue, does not weigh the worthiness of the one who speaks, it simply obeys. As a seed does not choose the soil, but grows where it is planted, so too do words bear fruit without judgment. The spoken word is creative in nature because it is rooted in the I am. When one says, I am, he speaks as the divine, identifying with power, aligning with eternal being. To follow, I am, with words of poverty is to misuse the sacred, to attach the infinite to limitation. To follow, I am, with words of strength, abundance, and peace is to command life to bring forth those very qualities. In every utterance of I am, the soul binds itself to that which is declared. The law is absolute, the word spoken is the word made flesh. In the morning when the mind is fresh and the day unformed, the spoken word is especially potent. At that hour, the soul has not yet clothed itself with the dust of the world, and the subconscious is most receptive. To awaken and say, I am guided, I am prospered, I am wealthy, is to establish the law for the day. The unseen immediately begins to arrange itself to fulfill the command, bringing forth people, events, and conditions in harmony with the decree. Those who understand this law shape their destiny deliberately. Those who ignore it drift upon currents of chance, not knowing they themselves are the authors of their fate. The word shapes destiny because it creates expectancy. Expectancy is faith clothed in anticipation, the assurance that what has been spoken will surely come to pass. The mind begins to look for proof, and the law supplies it. Speak of obstacles, and the path fills with them. Speak of favor, and doors open. The world responds in exact accordance with the vibration one has set forth. No idle word is without effect, for the law is as sure as the rising of the sun. The spoken word becomes the framework around which the fabric of life is woven. Even in Scripture it is written that life and death are in the power of the tongue. This is no idle metaphor but an exact law. Words may build kingdoms or bring them to ruin. They may heal the body or bind it with infirmity. They may open channels of wealth or close them tight. To speak is to create, and to create is to shape the path ahead. The wise guard their tongue, speaking only that which they desire to see. The unwise scatter words of fear and doubt, only to reap their bitter harvest. The destiny of man is written in his daily affirmations, in the casual words spoken without thought, in the repeated phrases that flow from the lips day after day. Every complaint is a decree. Every declaration of failure is a command. Yet so too is every statement of joy, every proclamation of abundance, every affirmation of power. The word never returns void, but accomplishes that which it is sent forth to do. The soil of the subconscious holds no judgment. It receives the seed and nurtures it until it springs forth in visible form. The harvest is always in proportion to the seed planted, and the seed is always the spoken word. Thus, the spoken word is law, unchanging, impartial, eternal. It shapes destiny by calling into being that which is affirmed. To declare wealth is to align with wealth. To declare abundance is to set abundance in motion. To declare strength is to embody strength. The tongue holds the key to the kingdom, and the lips are the doorway through which life's riches or life's burdens are invited to enter. The creative word, charged with faith and spoken with conviction, is the very tool by which destiny is carved. I am connects the self with infinite supply. Within those two sacred words lies the essence of creation itself, the eternal name of the divine, declared through the voice of man. When one utters, I am, one calls upon the very principle of life, aligning the finite with the infinite, the visible with the invisible, the temporal with the eternal. It is the password to the treasury of heaven, the golden key that unlocks every door. For the I am is not a mere phrase but the recognition of the God, self-dwelling within, the acknowledgement of the eternal source of abundance. Every soul carries within it the spark of infinite intelligence, yet few realize the power that rests upon their own lips. When the words, I am, are spoken, whatever follows is sealed as law. If one says, I am poor, the infinite supply is bound by the decree, and the channels of prosperity are closed. If one says, I am wealthy, the floodgates of abundance swing open, and supply rushes forth. The universe is obedient to the words spoken in faith, for the I am is not just identification, it is creation. It is the aligning of the human soul with the limitless storehouse of spirit, which contains riches untold, waiting only to be claimed. The I am is the bridge between thought and manifestation, between desire and fulfillment. It is the power of being itself, and whatever is attached to it is infused with life. To say, I am strong, is to draw strength from the unseen. To say, I am guided, is to align with wisdom that knows the way. To say, I am prosperous, is to command the substance of supply to gather and take form. The infinite supply does not question, does not hesitate, does not resist, it responds with exactness, reflecting back the word that has been spoken. The law of the I am is eternal and cannot be altered. It was present when the worlds were formed and remains active in every utterance today. To misuse the I am is to misuse creative power, chaining the self to limitation and fear. To honor it is to step into mastery, directing the flow of life toward harmony, health, wealth, and freedom. The soul that learns to speak, I am, with authority discovers that it is never separated from its source, that infinite supply is always at hand, waiting for recognition. The recognition itself opens the channel, and the channel once opened cannot remain empty, for nature abhors a vacuum, and spirit rushes to fill the space with substance. Every morning, when the words, I am, are declared in faith, the connection between self and infinite supply is renewed. The mind, still quiet and receptive from sleep, absorbs the command deeply, engraving it upon the subconscious, which in turn brings it forth into outer form. This is why the morning is sacred. It is the time when declarations shape the day, when the soul writes upon the blank page of time the story it wishes to unfold. Those who begin their day with, I am abundance, I am wealth, I am success, set their feet upon the path of prosperity, drawing to themselves the conditions that correspond with their words. The I am works because it is identity. It is not a hope, not a wish, not a longing for what may come someday. It is the declaration of what is here and now. The infinite knows no future or past. It exists only in the eternal present. To say, I am wealthy, is to embody wealth now, not to postpone it, not to wait for it, but to claim it as a present reality. The subconscious accepts it, and the outer world rearranges itself to match the inner conviction. Delay falls away, and the good that seemed far off draws near. The connection between I am and infinite supply is unbreakable, for the source itself lives within the declaration. The moment one speaks, I am, the soul identifies with the eternal fountain of substance. Supply is not created by labor alone, nor by effort, nor by striving. It is called forth by recognition. Recognition is faith, and faith is the magnet that draws the unseen into the seen. One may toil for years without increase, if the words spoken are words of limitation. Yet another may speak, I am provided for, with unwavering belief, and the channels of supply open effortlessly, bringing forth what is required at the perfect time. I am is the word of dominion. It is the soul standing in authority, speaking as the heir of divine riches. To whisper, I am blessed, is to summon blessings from every quarter. To affirm I am abundance, is to clothe oneself in the garment of plenty. To proclaim, I am in harmony with wealth, is to attract wealth in ways beyond calculation, for harmony draws its likeness as surely as discord multiplies itself. Every am is a decree, and every decree is fulfilled in its own appointed season, for the law is immutable, and the law is exact. The infinite supply is inexhaustible. It cannot diminish, cannot run dry, cannot be depleted, for it is spirit itself, ever flowing, ever renewing, ever expanding. When the self speaks, I am, it taps into this boundless reservoir, drawing from it exactly what is declared. To say, I am lacking, is to close the channel, though the supply remains ever full. To say, I am fulfilled, is to open the channel wide, allowing the riches of spirit to pour forth into visible expression. The choice lies with the one who speaks, for the I am is the pen that writes upon the tablet of destiny. Thus, the soul learns to guard its words, to honor the I am as sacred, to attach to it only those qualities it desires to manifest. For the infinite supply responds not to idle wishing, but to firm recognition. The moment one identifies with wealth through the I am, the substance of wealth begins its journey into form. The moment one identifies with joy, with peace, with success, those qualities draw near, for they are already present in the infinite, waiting only to be claimed. The connection is not built, it already exists. It need only be acknowledged, and the acknowledgement is the word spoken. I am. Abundance is the soul's divine inheritance. From the beginning of creation, every soul was endowed with the limitless treasures of spirit. For the infinite Father lacks nothing and withholds nothing from his offspring. The universe is rich beyond measure, filled with overflowing supply. And man, made in the image of the Creator, is heir to all that is good, perfect, and complete. Abundance is not something to be earned by struggle, nor is it a prize bestowed upon a chosen few. It is the natural birthright of every soul that awakens to its divine origin. The storehouse of heaven is never locked, its gates never closed, for the wealth of spirit is infinite, ceaseless, and eternal. Poverty is not truth but illusion, a shadow cast by fear and ignorance. Lack arises when the soul forgets its source, when it identifies with limitation rather than with its inheritance of plenty. Just as a child of a wealthy house may wander in rags if unaware of its lineage, so too may a soul walk in want if it does not recognize that abundance is already its own. The law of supply has no boundaries. It flows freely and without end. When the soul claims its inheritance, abundance must rush to meet it, for the claim is lawful and cannot be denied. Abundance is not measured only in gold or possessions, but in every expression of fullness, health, joy, peace, opportunity, wisdom, and love. Wealth in its truest sense is the overflowing of good in all areas of life. The assurance that every need is already met, and every desire fulfilled in perfect timing. To awaken to abundance is to live in a world where doors open easily, where paths are cleared, where the right people appear, and where the perfect opportunities align as though by unseen hands. This is no accident, for the soul that knows its inheritance draws these things by divine law, just as a magnet draws iron filings without effort. The key lies in recognition. What is not recognized cannot be claimed, and what is not claimed remains unused though it already exists. The treasures of spirit surround every soul, yet many walk blind to them, speaking words of lack, expecting limitation, and thus bearing themselves from the feast set before them. The moment a soul says with conviction, I inherit abundance as my divine right, the veil begins to lift, and the outer world reshapes itself in response. For recognition is the key that opens the storehouse, and faith is the hand that reaches in to draw forth supply. The inheritance of abundance is secured by the law of creation. The infinite, being perfect, could not create lack, for lack is imperfection, and imperfection cannot proceed from perfection. The very presence of the soul in a body, dwelling in a world rich with air, water, food, and light, is proof of endless supply. Nature herself testifies to this inheritance. The trees bear fruit in season, rivers renew themselves, seeds multiply without end, and the earth yields more than enough to sustain all life. Scarcity is an illusion created by fear and grasping, but abundance is the eternal reality, flowing freely to those who align with its law. To claim abundance as inheritance is to cast aside the false belief in separation. The soul is never cut off from its source, though it may imagine itself so. Infinite substance is like the ocean, and each soul a wave upon its surface. The wave does not beg the ocean for water, it is already one with it, already supplied in full. So it is with abundance. To plead for supply is to forget union. To affirm it as inheritance is to remember truth. In that remembrance, channels open, opportunities arise, and riches flow in expected and unexpected ways, for the soul has spoken in alignment with law. The law of abundance responds to faith, and faith is built through the spoken word. When the soul declares, "Abundance is my inheritance, wealth is my right, supply is mine by divine decree," the subconscious receives the command and arranges the outer world to reflect it. People, places, and circumstances align to fulfill the decree, for the outer always mirrors the inner. Those who speak lack reap lack, for they affirm separation from their inheritance. Those who speak abundance reap abundance, for they affirm union with their source. The law does not judge, it simply fulfills the word spoken with belief. The inheritance of abundance is unchanging and cannot be taken away. It is not subject to the whims of fortune, the rise and fall of markets, or the opinions of men. It is established in spirit, eternal and secure, untouched by circumstance. A soul may ignore it, deny it, or fail to claim it, but it remains ever present, waiting to be recognized. Just as the sun shines whether or not a blind man perceives it, so abundance flows whether or not a soul claims it. The recognition does not create abundance, it reveals it, bringing into visibility what was already true in the invisible realm. Abundance flows through channels but is not limited to them. Employment, business, investments, and opportunities are but instruments through which supply manifests, but the source is always spirit. To mistake the channel for the source is to fall into fear, believing that if one channel closes, supply must end. Yet the inheritance of abundance is eternal and unfailing, and if one door shuts, another must open, often wider and greater than before. Those who rest in the certainty of their divine inheritance live without fear, knowing that supply can never fail. For the source is infinite and ever present. To embody abundance is to live as though the inheritance were already fully visible. Gratitude becomes the daily song, for gratitude acknowledges that the inheritance is secure and active. Every small blessing is recognized as proof of greater abundance at hand, and this recognition multiplies blessings, for what is acknowledged expands. The soul that lives in gratitude lives in constant remembrance of its inheritance, and remembrance keeps the channels open for more to flow. The soul's inheritance is not only abundance for the self but also abundance to share. Wealth multiplies as it is given, for giving affirms the truth of unlimited supply. Fear withholds, believing in scarcity, but faith gives freely, knowing that the wellspring cannot run dry. To circulate abundance is to keep it alive, just as water must flow to remain fresh. The inheritance was never meant to be hoarded, but to be expressed, blessing the self and others alike, creating a cycle of giving and receiving that reflects the eternal rhythm of spirit. Affirmations activate unseen substance into form. Every word spoken with conviction is more than sound, it is a creative decree, charged with life, vibrating through the ethers, shaping the invisible into visible expression. The unseen substance of the universe, infinite and ever ready, lies in waiting like clay, prepared to take form according to the molds impressed upon it by thought and word. Affirmations are not idle repetitions, but conscious acts of creation, setting into motion the forces of spirit that build, arrange, and manifest circumstances in exact alignment with what has been affirmed. The unseen substance of life is obedient to law. It does not resist, it does not question, it does not judge the worthiness of the one who commands it. It responds with precision to the image and vibration impressed upon it. When affirmations are spoken, they impress the subconscious with a pattern, and the subconscious, in turn, directs the unseen forces of life to picture that pattern in form. Just as a seed planted in the soil contains within itself the blueprint of the tree it will become, so does each affirmation carry within it the form of the reality it declares. To affirm health is to plant the seed of health. To affirm wealth is to plant the seed of wealth. To affirm success is to plant the seed of success. The soil of the unseen substance nurtures every seed faithfully until the harvest is visible. Affirmations are most powerful when they are spoken with feeling and faith, for feeling gives vitality to the word, and faith seals it with certainty. A lifeless repetition carries little weight, but a word charged with conviction vibrates with power, imprinting the subconscious deeply. stirring the unseen into activity. The spoken word carries sound, and sound itself is creative, for it moves through the ethers, leaving a pattern in its wake. Affirmations spoken aloud reach beyond the realm of thought. They become living forces moving outward, magnetizing conditions, people, and opportunities into harmony with the decree. Unseen substance is infinite and inexhaustible, awaiting direction at every moment. It is the raw material of creation, the spiritual essence from which all things are formed. When a craftsman shapes wood or stone, the material yields to the pattern of his tools. When the soul speaks affirmations, unseen substance yields to the pattern of the word. Whatever image is held and spoken consistently must come forth, for the law is exact and unwavering. To declare, I am abundance, is to carve abundance into the unseen. To declare, I am guided, is to stamp guidance into substance. To declare, I am health, is to impress wholeness upon the invisible field of life. The activation of unseen substance begins in the mind, for thought is the first mold. Yet it is through affirmation that thought takes on vibrational life. Thought alone may drift and scatter, but when clothed in the spoken word, it gains structure and force. Affirmations gather thought into focus, making it deliberate and directed. The mind may imagine abundance, but the spoken affirmation, I am abundance, commands it, fixing the image upon the subconscious and energizing unseen substance to move into alignment. The invisible does not resist form. It rushes to fill the mold provided by word and thought. Affirmations must always be in the present tense, for unseen substance exists only in the eternal now. To affirm that wealth will come someday is to postpone it endlessly, for the word, will, is always in the future, never in the present. To affirm, I am wealthy now, is to activate substance in the only time that truly exists, the present moment. The universe responds to the vibration of now, not to the delay of tomorrow. Each affirmation spoken as present reality is a declaration of law, and law cannot return void. The repetition of affirmations deepens the impression upon the subconscious, just as repeated strokes of a sculptor's chisel bring form to stone. One declaration may plant the seed, but repetition waters and nurtures it until the form is complete. Yet repetition must not be mechanical, it must be filled with life, belief, and expectancy. Each affirmation is a reminder of truth, a continual turning of the mind toward what is already real in spirit, and as the mind turns, unseen substance shapes itself accordingly. Affirmations activate unseen substance because they shift consciousness, and consciousness is the magnet that draws form. When one affirms wealth, the mind begins to expect wealth, and this expectancy aligns unseen substance into the channel of wealth. The subconscious begins to notice opportunities, the intuition sharpens, guidance flows, and actions are directed in harmony with the affirmation. The affirmation itself is the seed, but it also awakens the consciousness required to nurture the seed. The unseen responds to this shift, rearranging circumstances so that the outer reflects the inner declaration. Unseen substance is limitless, therefore no affirmation can exhaust it. To affirm abundance does not diminish the abundance available to others, for the supply is infinite. The law of affirmation does not operate by competition or struggle but by recognition. When one affirms abundance, one aligns with the truth that abundance already exists in fullness, awaiting manifestation. The affirmation does not create supply from nothing, it calls forth what already is, drawing it into visibility. The unseen is already complete. Affirmations simply bring into form that which has been eternally prepared. Every affirmation is a command to spirit, and spirit obeys with exactness. This is why affirmations must be chosen with care, for careless words impress careless patterns upon the unseen. To say, I am always struggling, is to activate struggle into form. To say, nothing ever works out for me, is to impress failure into the unseen. The law cannot distinguish between jest and seriousness, between idle speech and deliberate decree. It simply brings forth what has been declared. To guard the tongue is to guard the harvest, for every word sows a seed in the unseen. Affirmations activate unseen substance most swiftly when they are accompanied by gratitude. Gratitude acknowledges that the substance is already active, already forming, already on its way into visibility. Gratitude is the proof of faith, and faith compels the unseen into quicker manifestation. To affirm, I am abundance, and to give thanks as though the abundance were already in hand multiplies the power of the affirmation, for it anchors the word in certainty. Gratitude seals the impression upon the subconscious, making it unshakable, and the unseen responds without delay. The invisible realm is not distant, it is as near as breath, surrounding and interpenetrating the visible world at all times. Affirmations act as the bridge, translating the unseen into the seen, the formless into form. Each declaration is like a blueprint drawn upon the ethers, and unseen substance, obedient and tireless, builds according to that plan. There is no delay except in the wavering of belief, no limitation except in the pattern provided. The clearer and more consistent the affirmation, the swifter the manifestation. For the unseen works with exactness, never failing, never erring, always faithful to the word impressed upon it. Faith seals the word and manifests prosperity. When an affirmation is spoken, it sets the vibration into motion, but it is faith that anchors the word, fastening it securely within the unseen until it becomes visible. Without faith, words are like seeds scattered on stony ground. They may fall, but they do not take root. With faith, every word is a seed planted in fertile soil, nurtured by conviction, and destined to bear fruit in the perfect season. Faith is the invisible substance that bridges the gap between the spoken decree and its material expression, the power that transforms the invisible promise into visible form. Faith is not mere hope or wishful thinking, for hope leaves room for doubt, but faith knows. Faith declares and it is done. Faith speaks the word once and rests in certainty, knowing that the unseen is already in motion to fulfill it. To affirm, I am abundance, with doubt is to weaken the command, but to affirm it with unshakable faith is to decree a law that must be obeyed. Faith does not strain, does not question, does not beg. It simply accepts that the word spoken is the word fulfilled. This acceptance is the seal, the invisible stamp of authority that guarantees manifestation. The subconscious mind is deeply influenced by faith. When words are spoken without belief, the subconscious does not receive them as truth, and the outer world reflects the lack of conviction. But when words are spoken in faith, the subconscious accepts them immediately, shaping thoughts, emotions, and actions to align with the declaration. The subconscious does not reason, it obeys. Faith is the force that convinces it, the power that makes the affirmation real in the inner world long before it appears in the outer. Once it is real within, it must inevitably take form without, for the inner always precedes the outer. Faith is the assurance that unseen substance is already at work. Just as a farmer does not dig up the seed after planting to see if it is growing, so faith does not question whether the affirmation is being fulfilled. The farmer trusts the law of growth, the soul that walks in faith trusts the law of spirit. The unseen works quietly, steadily, unseen by the physical eye, yet faith knows it is happening and rests in peace. This resting is not idleness but alignment. For the soul that has faith walks in expectancy, speaks in gratitude, and moves in harmony with the fulfillment of the word. Faith draws prosperity because it dissolves fear, and fear is the only obstacle to supply. Fear is the denial of abundance, the false belief that the universe is limited, hostile, or withholding. Faith cancels fear by affirming truth, that supply is infinite, that good is ever present, that abundance is the rightful inheritance of every soul. When faith seals the word, fear has no foothold, and prosperity flows freely, unobstructed, into form. The law of prosperity is eternal, but it is faith that allows the soul to claim its benefits, for only faith aligns with truth, while fear aligns with illusion. Prosperity manifests in many forms: money, opportunities, health, relationships, peace, and joy. Faith does not dictate the channel through which prosperity must come, it simply knows that it will come. The soul that affirms with faith does not demand the details, but trusts the infinite intelligence to arrange them perfectly. Just as water finds its own level, so prosperity finds its own channel, flowing naturally to the one who has spoken the word and sealed it with belief. Faith does not insist on how or when, for those are the province of spirit. Faith only insists that it is done, and by that insistence, it becomes visible in perfect timing. The strength of faith is revealed in adversity. When appearances seem contrary, when the outer world shows lack, faith continues to affirm prosperity, knowing that appearances are temporary and powerless against law. To declare, "I am abundant," while looking at an empty purse is the highest exercise of faith, for it refuses to be deceived by the visible and clings to the invisible reality. The unseen substance is more real than the seen, for it is the source of the seen, and faith rests in this truth. By standing firm, faith hastens the manifestation, for it holds the vibration steady, preventing the wavering that delays fulfillment. Faith is built by repetition of truth and by experience of fulfillment. Every time an affirmation comes to pass, faith is strengthened, for the soul remembers that the law works unfailingly. The remembrance of past victories fuels the conviction of present declarations, and each manifestation builds momentum for greater manifestations to follow. Yet even before evidence appears, faith must be exercised, for faith precedes sight. To wait for proof before believing is not faith but doubt. To believe before proof is the essence of faith, and it is this belief that brings prosperity into form. Faith is the very substance of prosperity, for prosperity begins in the invisible realm. To affirm, "I am wealthy," is to plant the seed, but to believe it is to give the seed substance, to surround it with the conditions that make growth inevitable. Prosperity manifests first in consciousness as a feeling of abundance, a sense of sufficiency, a confidence in supply. This inner prosperity magnetizes outer prosperity. For the law of correspondence brings forth in the visible world that which has been established in the inner. Faith makes the inner real, and once it is real within, it must express without. Gratitude is the companion of faith, for gratitude declares that the word is already fulfilled. To give thanks for prosperity before it is seen is the surest proof of faith, and it accelerates manifestation. Gratitude seals the word with joy, making the affirmation unshakable, for one cannot give thanks and doubt at the same time. Faith and gratitude together form an irresistible power, drawing prosperity with certainty, for they align the soul completely with the truth of abundance. Faith does not operate in isolation, it harmonizes with action. Affirmations spoken in faith inspire right action, guiding the soul to take steps that align with the declared prosperity. These steps may appear small, but each one moves the soul closer to manifestation, for faith makes the path clear. Action without faith may falter, but faith without action may stagnate together. They form the perfect union that brings prosperity swiftly into form. Faith guides the mind, sharpens intuition, and opens doors that labor alone could never achieve. Faith is the eternal seal upon the word. It transforms affirmations from mere speech into law, from fleeting sound into enduring reality. It is the force that holds the vibration steady, that carries the word through unseen channels, that ensures the manifestation of prosperity in perfect time and manner. Without faith, the word drifts. Scattered by doubt, with faith, the word stands firm, irresistible, and absolute, commanding substance to take form and prosperity to appear.